Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh. It's my first video of the month, and I have the pleasure of being joined by Gus of Sacrifice, whose latest record, Volume Six, is coming off of Cursed Blessings Records off of February 21. Gus, thank you so much for joining me. How are we doing this evening?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for having me tonight, Maddie. It's a pleasure. Yeah, not too bad. New Year's starting off well. I wish I felt a little better. I caught the flu the last couple of days, but
Hmm.
I'm swing today, so it seems like maybe I'll have a decent stuff. I'm a little hoarse, but don't be afraid. I'm feeling a little bit better.
Well, good to see you're on the up and up. Um, Before I start asking the questions, I did want to acknowledge that I did get to see your set in the not like last year at Maryland Death Fest, which I very much enjoyed. I was in the crowd.
Yes,
Uh,
of course.
yeah,
So we play both May. Well, our May long too. May super weekend. It's usually a long weekend for us in Canada. But we've got to play in Baltimore. I know.
yeah,
I was happy. Yes.
yeah. I will be going again this year. It's a fantastic festival. But let's talk about your music now. This is your first album since 2009. And I'm wondering why now? Why is this the time to get a new Sacrifice album out?
Uh, well, I mean, 16 years has passed, and our last record, we kind of went through like every band. Ours was a prolonged 7 year funk where we hadn't written much,
Yeah.
and around 2000 and I guess 15, 2014, I'd say we started to find our wheels a little bit, and then by 17, I felt like we started making traction with the new songs, Comatose coming around. And underneath Millennia, we had these songs written. Uh, so we were really happy. What can I tell you? Like we were playing them and we felt good about them. The intent was we'd record something. Uh, in 17, was it really the idea of maybe doing another record? Probably not. We were probably just thinking about an EP, maybe putting out 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah.
Um, and then 20, well, the pandemic came around. That kind of put us on the back burner in regards to like progressing. It basically took 2 years off, and it showed. We kind of slowed down a bit. I didn't play as many shows than we got out of it. We're definitely more active, and then one thing led to another, and said, I got some more stuff. You want to hear it? And I said, sure. And then demos become songs, and what we felt like was maybe a glut for maybe 10 years, all of a sudden feeling refreshed again. So that was pleasant, and we got to play, some live shows in America, Europe, and
Yeah.
and then we played even a show in Nova Scotia, I guess around 22 or something. So we're
Mhm.
feeling pretty good, survived again. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're lucky we went and did this one.
You mentioned the pandemic and kind of halting your touring process and not being able to kind of play shows as much for a little bit of period of time. Um, what effects would you say between, having this time between the ones I condemn and volume six? How did that like affect the writing process of the record?
Uh, well, I mean, I guess the downtime, a lot of self reflection over that time. So,
Yeah.
it kind of sucked. We didn't really do much, right? So I guess he felt a little bit more inspired. He had some stuff on the back burner. I didn't really know about it. He demos a lot of stuff. He puts it to the side, and then I get it at later dates, and he goes, "What do you think of this?" And I go, "Yeah, that's pretty good." And then I mean, I started demoing a lot of stuff in 2020. He gave I had about 20 songs,
Yeah.
and I demoed it, sent it all to him. He was like, "Man, that's too much." I said, "I got to take a step back and just reevaluate everything we've done." So that's when War Beat came into play. We put it out. Everybody seemed pretty happy and enthusiastic about us doing some new stuff. So one thing led to another, and yeah, and the wheels start really spinning. I guess
Yeah.
just after we came out of it in 21, 22, and then we start, yeah. being definitely more proactive about writing new stuff. Before you know it, we're sitting on 6 songs. I thought
Yeah.
we are just going to go in it, and then next thing you know, he gave me a few more songs over the summer of 23, and next thing you know, we were in the studio for 4 days. Bam, we had 12 songs done just like that. It's yeah, it's ironic, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean for us, I mean if it was a full time job, maybe we'd get to that a little bit fast. But no, we end up taking 16 years to do another record. But I think it's it's worth the wait. I think we
Yeah.
did really we did. I mean, the single speaks for itself. I love it. I love the sound of the new record. I think it's probably our best one.
Yeah. And I've heard the new record, and starting off with the first track, Comatose, and it's like I remember the early, Sacrifice records, and this one it has that DNA, but it's different, right? It's a bit more stylistically. You go different places. It has a bit of a maybe even a progressive edge to it. Would you agree with that? That it is not as you have evolved as a band?
Yeah, I mean, with this album, I think it's a step past the ones I condemn. I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's our best work, the best sounding work
Yeah.
we've done, and probably some of the most. We're I think we're extremely aggressive on this record, as
Yeah.
opposed to maybe foot off the gas. Pretty much, except for a couple songs, we're pretty much, going, 200 beats per minute for pretty much the whole album. So
Yeah.
I was real happy with that. I thought the whole album more of a thrash record than some people have noticed the heavier tracks on the album, but for
Yeah.
me it was all about playing a really good thrash album. I think that's what we achieved this time out for sure.
Yeah. Now you're a band that not all bands that have been around as long as you get to say this, but your lineup has been extremely consistent. What does it mean to keep all your original members for this long?
Yeah, it's not many guys get to do that. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still the same guys that started out in '85 and still together today. Yeah, it's been I guess health wise, luck wise, all that stuff. And yeah, we've been pretty lucky, very very lucky,
Mm,
and it shows on the record for sure because it
yeah.
sounds like us. It doesn't sound like anybody else. So
Mm,
that for me, I'm grateful for that for sure. But that's chemistry, right?
yeah.
We've got between all of us, we have a lot of it, and it spills out on the record.
Mm. I mean, you think of like every guitarist, every drummer has their own style. And if you keep, they have their own touch. And if you keep swapping out those pieces, that original sound that a band maybe got known for, it can't just reproduce with completely different people. You have to have that like synergy with one another, and you've got to keep that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, and we were
Um,
lucky that way.
mhm.
Oh,
Now, I've heard this said before, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but sometimes people say that thrash metal is dead. It no longer plays kind of a role in the underground. Once death metal hit, thrash was kind of made obsolete. What do you say when you hear stuff like that?
I disagree.
Yeah.
I don't see it at all. I mean, I've played enough shows in the last uh, 10 years, for sure. So maybe 12, 14 years.
Yeah.
Since we got back and we did Condemn, like, we were able to travel and see all the different places we played. I wouldn't say that. Every place we've gone, it's been packed and the following is really, really strong.
Yeah.
I've never seen it waver, but I mean, I was told that in 2004, 2003.
Yeah.
They said, man, you know, we know where you come from, Gus. I said, yeah, I know. And I was playing punk rock then. And they go, yeah, thrash and metal has never been bigger. And it was proven to me over that short period of time between, I guess, 2002, 2006 before we did the reunion. So, yeah, uh, I find that it's never been stronger, never been better.
Sure. Yeah. I also agree. I don't know why people think that. I mean, maybe maybe the metal magazines maybe push death metal and black metal more these days, but there are still plenty of bands making great thrash records and thrash rock bands like yourself still touring and still drawing crowds. So yes.
Yeah,
Um,
oh yeah, thrash has been. I mean, I've seen Exodus play, Death Angel. I mean, the Testament tour. I've seen all that stuff both locally and in Toronto. And I think it's never been more popular. Quite honest.
okay, that is a big statement, and I appreciate you making that. Now you can see that with your hat. You are a Toronto-based band. When most people seem to talk about thrash, they seem to either be hinting at kind of like the Bay Area or like the German scene, you know, your Sodoms, your Creators. But Canada has a thrash scene too. You know, you have you guys, you have Voivod, you have Annihilator. Is there something you think that is unique that defines a specifically Canadian thrash sound?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Yeah, we've had a unique sound. We've had a
Yeah.
unique fall, a unique. I mean, because we're so big, to get across the country and tour here, it could become a little bit daunting for some bands. But
Yeah.
if you're lucky enough to go from Toronto to Vancouver and back, or even out east, a lot of those bands, as we reach out, we play with a lot of them, and been lucky enough to play shows in those cities. So I think it for us, because we're able to do that, we left a mark on all those younger bands,
Yeah.
I think they forged their own ways through in the scene and in this country for sure.
Yeah. Canadian thrash, in my opinion, it has this grit to it. Like you listen to like Annihilator. That is a like from like the Alice record. That is a gritty record. You know, obviously Voivod, they're what they're doing. It's very harsh, and so is your
They,
records. Yeah. Um.
yeah, always, yeah,
You,
they all made a huge impact for sure.
mhm. Now you're a band that clearly wears your hardcore influences on your sleeve. You know, you cover a direct action song in this album, and you have Brian Taylor of Youth providing some guest vocals. Now, in the past, you hear about this like divide between punk fans and metal fans. You know, they don't get along. And I'm wondering, do you think the chasm between the punk scene and the metal scene is narrower than some people might give it credit for? Should there be less of a separation between those two movements?
Yeah, I think so. Well, when I was, I mean, we played with enough punk bands back when we started playing back in the '80s. So I found that that aspect of it was shed away. I mean, decades ago, and still
Yeah.
is today. I mean, a lot of punk bands still play with metal bands. They still tour together. They still play together. Uh, uh, I mean, I've played enough punk shows when I was playing with the Street and stuff. So I've seen a little bit of crossover there. I mean, there should be more of it. I mean, we're always and we've always supported the punk scene and vice versa, right?
I think people point to like bands like Suicidal Tendencies and DRI, obviously, of like kind of like the crossover thrash metal movement of like, oh, we're combining two sounds of hardcore and thrash. But I don't know if that was like it was just then that like, oh, okay, now punk and metal heads can be in harmony. I think those two scenes were cross pollinating and being within each other before Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they all
Yeah,
added. It always did. And that was the benefit of it, right?
right. Well, I mean, you think of thrash. I mean, it basically is a combination of hardcore and what was going on in heavy metal. It's like basically taking hardcore meets Judas Priest. I mean, that's kind of what thrash is in its DNA. But for some
Yeah.
reason, there was
I mean, they've all always coexisted, right? So they go hand in hand. I still get guys that even in the punk scene in Toronto, when we play shows here, they come out and they want to see you play. They want to see that hard edge to you that we've always brought. That's always been our bread and butter, right? So
Mhm.
we've been lucky that way, and it's been nice that we can
spill across, especially music lines and influence those guys and vice versa. Still happens today, and
Yeah.
grateful for that for sure. And as opposed to it being, a competition, that's not what it's about. I think it's about uniting both friends for sure.
Hmm.
At least that's how I feel about
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Like I personally, I love, bands like Minor Threat and Youth of Today.
it.
Um,
Yes, of course.
and I see even in like stuff like black metal, you can tell that punk left a mark, even if like metalheads don't want to
Yeah, I'd say so.
acknowledge
I'd
that.
say
Yeah.
so. I mean, you can't in my opinion, can't exist without those guys. When it comes to
Yeah.
the hard edge, fast, these, writing, stuff that's, high energy. Like those guys set the table for, especially us when we started out, and set the table for us on a lot of things. Because I mean, for me, in '85, I was too busy wanting to see like the best metal bands that were starting to come to the forefront at that time. I was love the Metallica, Slayers, Destruction, Sodoms,
Hmm.
all these bands were coming to the forefront, and we're getting a lot of that stuff because of tape trading. And no matter what, all that stuff is still spilt over between all those scenes,
Hmm.
and all of us guys still feed on it, right? And
Hmm.
I found that it's never gone away. I thought even after all these years, like next year it'll be 40 years for us since we started playing together. Or actually, I should say this summer, this June will be 40 since we played. We did the Slayer tribute way back at Larry's Hideaway back in '85, and for us, all that stuff, even then, like those guys love that stuff. I was I couldn't get enough of what was coming out, and for the metal stuff that was being introduced to me all the time.
So as
You'll
someone who
ask,
was
and I
kind
mean,
of
it's like when I hear Master of Puppets for the first time. For me, think that when I first heard that, I was floored. Uh, you know, and then you spend every waking moment listening to it, aspiring to it to become, that ultimate thrash band. And here they are today. I mean, they put up how much Lars makes annually, like 350 million bucks. I'm like, yeah, he had the perfect formula right from the get go. But it takes hard work, right? You
yeah.
gotta still work.
I saw Metallica on their tour this summer. Still put on a great show. Still put on a
Amazing.
great.
They
Yeah.
always they always put on a great show. And I mean, isn't that what you go to pay for? That's what I mean. Personally, I think ticket prices are a little high for all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
they're coming to Toronto in April and stuff, and I'm busy, unfortunately. But yeah, I found the ticket prices for it to be just a little rich. But it seems like a lot of corporates attach them too, right?
Oh yeah. Those companies like
And that's plus
Ticketmaster.
the $350 million net worth. So
Yeah.
must be nice.
Yeah,
I still work for a living.
yeah. Well, same. Um, no, I haven't got a chance to really ask a band this, but you being a thrash band, kind of in this, kind of from the '80s, and you saw kind of get to see like metal before and after, like like the mid '80s of like kind of the peak of thrash. When you saw kind of bands like Death and Obituary and Morbid Angel start to come on the scene and start to get attention. What was your reaction? What was your thing? Like when you saw, oh, this
Yeah,
thing called death metal is happening.
yeah, it was eye opening for sure. I
Okay.
remember when we played with Morbid Angel in Flint, Michigan. That was quite eye opening to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, sad of all those guys. They were at the forefront of what it could possibly be, and then what they were laying the ground for it. So yeah, it was eye opening for sure.
Yeah.
And still, I mean, we're all in the same business, trying to forge our way through, you know, writing the best music we can. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, thrash is going one way, and death metal was definitely going the other way. So I never got to experience it because I was gone in 1990. Right, I left
Hmm.
before the wave. kind of fizzled out. And then I heard by the end of the '90s, the tidal wave had come back, and thrash and the whole scene was coming around again. So it's been nice. It's been
Yeah.
a good run for the last, I'd say, 25 years. Because I
Oh,
mean, eh, sometimes you look at it, you think, man, is it ever going to get better? And then you see it, and the way I see it now, it's vastly different than when I left, for sure. Definitely a bigger scene, more organized. Guys can make a living at it, you know, which is when I was 22, 23, I didn't think that was possible.
oh yeah, you see a band like Cannibal Corpse, they they get to make a career out of making death metal music. That's wild.
Yeah, I know. It's true though.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And that's how much it's changed, right? Now you see all these bands that are out in their touring, and you know, some of them are like, we'd rather do what you guys do, just play shows every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad
Yeah.
choice or option to have, and
Mhm.
that's what we do. We get to pick and choose. But now, we got to be more refined. We haven't played a local show in Toronto in a long time. Pressure's on us to make sure we do, especially
Mhm.
with Volume 6 coming out relatively soon. So
Yeah.
it's we're picking and choosing this year for sure.
Cool. So you talk about working a full-time job while you do sacrifice. So I could ask you, are you touring? But it sounds like no. You sound like a band that's like content on putting the album out and then playing shows kind of sporadically. Is that right? Or kind of
Yeah,
picking and
pretty much.
choosing the right festival or show to play
Correct.
when it presents itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much. And we get to pick and choose what we want to do, where we want to do it. So we like to go places we haven't been of late. So we'll see what happens this year. Uh, we're going back to Vancouver again. It's funny how that works, but
Yeah.
definitely one of our favorite places to play. We're definitely eyeballing South America this year. That's high on our list of places to go for sure.
Have you played
So
South America before?
yeah, we played Peru probably just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
We were down there to play in Lima and had a great time. Looking forward to going back. Uh, I know Chile's calling. I know people want to see us in Brazil, of course, and South America, Mexico, Central America, Bogota. All these places definitely want to see us play.
There's a
So we'll,
lot of
between me and you, Manny, hopefully it happens. But
yeah.
I mean, you can only control so much, right?
There is a lot of thrash coming out of Chile. Chile has a metal scene.
It's incredible, yes,
Yeah.
and I guess we'll benefit from that with those places now being so rich and with these bands and stuff. So yeah, hopefully it'll benefit us in this year and in 26. I mean, the album can only stay hot for so long, right? And then all of a sudden, it'll fizzle away just like everything else. And then by that point, yeah, I'd say I'm going to be close to 60, ready to retire. So we'll see.
Are there any places, when you're looking at places you want to play as your band, are there any places that you as a band haven't yet and it's on your bucket list? Like we want to play here before Sacrifice is done. Like this is a place that we want to play.
Yeah, for sure. Right now at the top of the list, I'd say, considering all when it comes to the countries and places that are listening to Sacrifice, Santiago, Chile's been number one for whew, quite a few years, long time.
Yeah.
Uh, we've always gotten lots of offers to go down and play there. It's just a matter of getting the right one and getting it done. So uh, I'm hoping something happens real soon. I'd love to play there, and
Hmm.
I know it'll probably be a really big show if we do. I'm hoping. Got my fingers crossed. I got a good feeling about it this year, but we'll see what happens. Right now, we're just concentrating on getting Volume 6 out and getting that in everybody's hands so they can see what's coming. I
Yeah.
want to play this new stuff. That's what I want to do.
Have you teased any of the new tracks live yet? Or have you
Oh,
just
absolutely not. No, we had this discussion multiple times, probably Since we laid everything down, probably in 23, it's like, no, we're not gonna. Together we can play it together. We played it together uh, all last year. We're get ready for shows, and pretty happy about it, playing it as a band because
Mm.
don't get it to do it too often. So when we got the chance to get together and jam, it was nice because we played it so much the last, I guess, 18 months that as soon as we sat in the room together and started playing the new stuff, it rolled out of us just like when we did it for the record. So it was a pleasant surprise for me and Rob for sure, considering those guys knew how to play all those tracks already. So that's gonna make interesting this year when we get a chance to practice it and get a set ready for it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and when crafting this set list that you're going to play for your shows after the release, what is your philosophy? Are you going to try to play like all of the new record? Are you going to try to like sprinkle in, maybe like try to slowly introduce the new record while sprinkling in a lot of tracks from Forward Determination or Soldiers of Misfortune? Like what's your go to for like crafting a set list?
Yeah. I mean, the set list we probably played the last 2 years, and we've been pretty consistent about it. It was pretty uh, for determination dominated. We still did a lot of songs off soldiers and stuff. So we're going to be cutting a lot of stuff out and putting a lot of new stuff in. So we still have to play the hits. Still got to play a lot of stuff that our fans love. I mean, personally, I think it's just going to expand the set list from what we've been playing probably the last 2 years, and
Yeah.
it'll probably take us beyond 50 minutes and more closer to maybe 60, maybe 70 minutes a night.
Yeah.
And provided whoever books us wants us to play that long, but we'll see. I mean, we're going to be probably playing 3, 4 new songs a set, so that's going to probably add about 20 minutes
Yeah.
to the set, maybe 15 minutes. So we'll see.
I
Which
have
songs get picked? I don't know yet. It's going to be. I think it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to be
yeah.
changing them up all the time just to keep ourselves interested. And,
In-
and different places will get different songs, right?
Interestingly enough, I have your set list here from when you played in Oakland. I have it pulled up, and here it looks like you played around 7 songs before Determination. You played a few from Torment
Yes.
and Fire. You played a
Yeah.
couple tracks off of Soldiers of Misfortune, and you played one off of the ones I condemn. I'm assuming that won't look like the next set list. That you're gonna like,
Yeah, I'd say it's going to change. I would still, personally, for me, I still love that set list.
yeah,
I mean, maybe taking out a couple songs off of Forward Termination, maybe, and then splicing in, 3 to 5 new ones would be make me really happy. I
yeah.
I still love this. I still love that set list outright, and I I hate cutting any songs out of it, but we'll see. Uh, I still got to remember that set lists are based on how long Rob can last, and how much he's got to really sing to do it. Right? That's
Mhm.
always a key component about doing comprising any set list. So how it's gonna play itself out, I don't know by the time we get to Vancouver for sure. Trying to get the machine rolling soon and figure that one out. So that's coming soon.
Sure. Well, Gus, I that was all I had prepared to ask you on this interview, but I before I let you go, I just want to again let everyone know the new Sacrifice record, Volume 6, is coming off of Curse Blessing Record and it'll be out next month, February 21st. I've heard the record. I highly recommend it. As Gus said, it is very aggressive, it is very heavy, it is fast, everything that a thrash head would want. As always, thank you to my patrons. You help keep the show running. Um, that's all I have. My name is Maddie, aka Beavermosh, and I'm out of here.